Alright guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be going over my tackle and rods for 2024 and what my recommendations and my thoughts are on the fishing here in Virginia and Shenandoah County, and what lures I'm throwing this year for fishing the Shenandoah River. So to really get into it, first I think I'm going to start with my top water selection. Topwater hard baits to be exact. The first lure that is probably one of my favorites to throw here, if I can get it untangled, is probably going to be the Googan Squad Whopper Plopper. Revolver, sorry, not Whopper Plopper. This lure, I mean, with Whopper Ploppers in the past, I've had trouble with, hooking reeds or whatever, or pulling it through different things and then the prop not spinning. I have to say I've really never ever had an issue with this lure right here not spinning. Wherever I've ever thrown this thing, it's always gone straight through it. And it is a bit on the bigger side. Hooks are a lot bigger, and it's just a much bigger bait. But I've caught a lot of big fish on this. I've caught an almost 3-pound smallmouth out on I think it's the North Fork of the Shenandoah River, and this is probably one of my favorites, specifically in this black color. I really like it. For my next, I guess, prop bait is honestly the Whopper Plopper. I think this is the 90. Really, any Whopper Plopper to me just does the job. The 90 is smaller, and that's why I have it, because I have the revolver, and so I kind of throw the 90 out there under trees and stuff, or I'm trying to catch just anything, because it will catch smaller fish because it's not as big as the revolver. But I have it in the red color. Like I said, I usually do black and white. It's what I tend to catch the most fish on out on the river there. But the red and black will also get it done. This one's a little bent up. I think it's about time for a new one here. But moving on to my third topwater prop bait. This is, I don't even know what the name of this bait is called. It's made by, here, if it'll focus here, it's made by Weston. But this bait is honestly such a fun bait. It has dual props on the back, and it's such a glorious color. But the only problem I have with this is it, like any debris, immediately just like stops this thing from spinning. It's a great bait, and it makes a very nice like plop and splash in the water, but just about any kind of debris or whatever will just almost immediately stop this bait from spinning. Moving along here to my non-prop baits now. Googan Squad White Popper. This bait is just another one of my favorites. It is like a little big, but this popper is, I only really throw the white color, but this popper I've caught a lot of fish on, and some pretty decent fish too. It's definitely one of my top poppers if I was going to pick. Probably one of the last for topwater, but certainly not least. I don't know what this is. I don't know what brand it is. I've had it forever. I've even replaced the hooks on it at some point. But it is the smallest and just most fun little popper to throw around, toss into trees, and it'll also get the job done. Like I said, this white color out on the Shenandoah River really gets it done. But other than that, Googan Squad Frog. I mean, not much more I can say. I caught 6-pound largemouth here in Virginia in a pond on this thing. I mean, I love throwing frogs. They're probably one of my top favorite top water baits to throw, other than the revolver or Whopper Plopper. But yeah, that's all I have to say about that. And that'll probably end it for my top water baits. So let's I'll cut to my crankbaits and such. Alright, so for my crankbaits out on the Shenandoah River and such, other rivers here in Shenandoah County and whatnot here in Virginia, I have to say probably one of my favorites is this red deep diving crankbait. It's by Major Craft, and this red color, kind of like almost like a craw color with the black, does so well in the river. I mean, I've caught a bunch of fish on it, and I just love this color. I would probably get it in a crankbait style if I could. There's not very many super deep spots out on the river to where, you're throwing a deep diving crankbait, but I have caught smallmouth on this, and it will do the job. Now, for my next crankbait, I do love this Weston here. It's the color is okay. It's definitely not my favorite, but it has a little rattle inside, and it really does attract fish very well. It doesn't dive very deep. I think it's only like 3 feet, but it'll get it done. Then I have, these are a little stuck here, but the Guggen Squad crankbait. I forget the name of it exactly, but I mean, it's a good crankbait. The stickers fall off the sides. Definitely not the highest of quality. Definitely overpriced. It works, but I wouldn't recommend it. There's much better options out there than this crankbait by Guggen Squad. And then there's this one. This is a Strike King crankbait. This one actually is probably my favorite. That shiner, kind of like minnow color, and there's no stickers that can fall off of it. And square bill. I think this also only dives like 3-5 feet, but I've caught a bunch of fish on this. It's a pretty decent crankbait. 100% recommended over the Guggen Squad. I think it's like half the price of the Guggen Squad crankbait, and also like doesn't fall apart on you. So yeah, and that's pretty much it for my crankbaits and such. So I think I'll cut over to my terminal tackle box, and yeah. Alright guys, this is my terminal tackle box. So the first thing you probably will see is this. I think this is a spook. I don't use it, so I literally have no idea what it's called. This lure is okay. Caught a couple fish on it. Up at Lake Anna, my buddy caught one. He was using it, but other than that, I don't really use it too often. Starting out my terminal tackle, I have a bunch of these little hooks. Hopefully it'll focus here. There we go. This thing here works. Stupid thing won't focus. But I love these little hooks with the little swirl on them. This is what I mostly throw my craws and stuff on. They are relatively handy, and I think I got like a 10-pack of these for $3, but they do work very well, and especially this kind of dark green color. Here. I mean, it's not much more, just more jig heads. I have about 1 million EWG hooks. I have so many of them. I don't even really use EWG hooks that often. I have some of these notched ones. I forget the name or the brand that exactly makes them. They're okay. I mean, they're not really anything special. There's not much of a performance difference, to me at least, when using them versus a normal EWG hook. Probably my most used hook in the whole world. These Walmart jig heads. I throw just about everything on them. Whether it's, I'll throw craws on them. I'll throw finesse worms on them. I'll throw worms on them. Literally everything I'll put on these, and it's probably my most versatile. It's probably the thing I go through the most. I don't really use Texas hooks, EWG hooks, but these I could go through like 2 packs of these in a fishing trip, depending on how many people are using my tackle and how many times I break off or whatnot. But these are definitely good hooks. They do bend a little bit. They do have the metal is not super strong, but they do the job. They're definitely one of the ones I use the most. There's not too much else. Just like these little weights, these little bullet weights. I usually tend to get the small ones because I don't like throwing super heavy lures out on the river, to be honest with you. This mini chatterbait is great. I throw this thing on the river a bunch, and I catch smallmouth on it all the time. I definitely love this thing. What brand is that? I can't remember, but It is definitely is probably one of my favorites. I don't throw too many big chatterbaits, but these small ones out on the river, they do crush them. So, then in here we have like the Rebel craws and stuff. Rebel craws out on the river, they do the job. Rebel craws, if you're are the kind of thing you throw, if you're not catching them, you'll throw out a Rebel craw and you'll catch something, whether it's a bluegill or smallmouth. They always go for the Rebel craws. Walmart Ozark Trail $1 spinnerbaits. I buy probably 50 of these a summer. They break relatively easily, but oh my goodness, do they catch fish. When I'm not catching anything out on the Shenandoah, I tie one of these on and I just get destroyed by smallmouth. It is probably one of the lures I go through the most, but the ones that's worth the most, to me at least, for value. They're $1, and I mean, they catch so many fish. But other than that, it's not too much else in my terminal tackle box, just bags of hooks and whatnot. I do have some circle hooks somewhere in here, because sometimes I'll throw drop shot rigs and stuff like that. But other than that, that's pretty much my terminal tackle box. I have it all in this Evolution Fishing waterproof box. I think it was only like $10 and at Sportsman's Warehouse, and it's probably my favorite box out of all, since it's waterproof and whatnot. But yeah, next I think I'll go on to my jigs and stuff like that. Alright, this is my jig box with all my jigs and a couple spinnerbaits. I don't often throw spinnerbaits, so I don't have much to say on them. Here's a crankbait. I forget who makes it. I don't use it too often. That's why it's sitting in here. But for jigs, I don't throw jigs too often because I don't enjoy fishing the bottom as much. I'm much rather top water or like a live bait kind of person who throws, swim baits and stuff like that. But I do throw jigs here and there. Probably the jig that I use the most, I really like this Guggen Squad jig. I forget what it's called, but this jig is just the right size, perfect color. I love the dark blue with the pumpkin kind of skirt. It really is a beautiful bait, a beautiful jig. Let's see here. Oh, here it is. I forget who makes this jig, but this thing, it's tiny. This is one of the jigs I'll throw out on Shenandoah. This jig, it's small enough to where, most smallmouth, all of them will eat it. And it's a perfect color. It's this dark green. And it goes really well with the color of the river most times of the year. And it is probably one of my favorites to toss out. I usually throw the Bitsy bugs from, I think Strike King is what it is. And those are what I've caught in 2-pound largemouth. I've caught in decent smallmouth on them, and so those are always like my go-to kind of small jigs. That's about, I have a lot of jigs here, but I don't throw jigs that often, so I don't have much input on them. I do have this Guggen Squad, I think it's the clickbait, and I have never thrown this actually, but I'm going to the river next week for the whole week to fish, and I'll probably end up tying this on. Well, me and Jackson will probably hopefully have a video for you from the river. So yeah, we'll see how this performs. But that's pretty much it for my jigs and stuff. Now I'm going to move on to my soft plastics. Alright, these are my soft plastics that I use the most, and like my recommendation on what I use for the river out here on the Shenandoah River, and what me and Jackson use the most and find most successful. Starting off, Euro Tackle, these little B-Vibes are amazing. I love these things so much. They're really the only swim bait I throw. They're great. They're not super big, and the fish just love them. They're by far, I 100% recommend these. I've bought the small little ones. I think they're like an inch or an inch and a half, and those work great too if you're just trying to catch panfish like crappie and bluegill, whether it's in the Shenandoah River for bluegill or crappie in some of the lakes around here in Virginia. These things work so well. I love these a lot. Next, this is more of a joke. Me and Jackson, we don't throw these too much out on the Shenandoah, but what we'll do is these things float pretty dang well. So what me and Jackson will do is we'll just throw an EWG hook in them, just an EWG hook with these on some line, and we'll just cast out there and we'll burn it across the top of the water, and it'll actually make a top water kind of bait. And we've actually caught a bunch of fish on these things out on the Shenandoah River, just burning them across the top of the water, and they work relatively well. So I mean, that's the only reason I really bring these, but they do work when doing them. The Rattling Neds, me personally, I don't use them too much. Jackson, when we're out on the river, he throws these things and he'll catch fish on them. I don't. They're expensive, and I just don't throw them. There's other baits out there that I'd rather throw, but these do work. Jackson catches a bunch of fish on them, and they're probably one of his go-to baits to throw out there on the river. I'm using this as an example, but the 5-inch darts from Zoom, specifically the white color, like the white flukes from Zoom or whatever, are so good out on the river. Last year when we wouldn't catch anything, we'd just tie on a fluke, whether it was on a jig head or a drop shot, a white 5-inch fluke, and we would crush them on it. These Guggen Squad ones work good too. We've caught them on them, but specifically the white ones, the smallmouth on the Shenandoah, especially the North Fork, love these things. The Zoom, watermelon, red flake, finesse worms. This is the worm that we throw the most out on the river. Whether it's fishing up by the dam at Egypt Bends, kind of in the deep stuff where it's like 13 feet deep, or even just out on the river below the dam where it's not deep in all spots. This is the worm we throw. This is our go-to worm. We throw it for everything, everywhere. On the Shenandoah, fishing ponds, this is the worm we use. The finesse worm. We'll put it on one of those little black jig heads, and we'll just toss it out there, and we'll reel it in and slowly bounce it off the bottom. And this is the worm that we use the most, me and Jackson, and have the most success catching fish on. We do throw like lunker logs and other bigger worms, but these finesse worms are what we find most useful, at least, and successful when fishing. That's for sure. So definitely recommend, if you're going out to the river, to pick up a pack of these. Next, for the craw baits, the Guggen Squad Bandito bugs, specifically in the green color. We toss these out. You can catch fish on them. I mean, most craw baits out there, put them in green color. If you get them in a green color, you'll catch fish. We just like the Bandito bugs. They're pretty good. We like the way they look in the water. Their presentation's very nice, but we'll throw these out there. And then we'll also throw the Vile bug sometimes. Just another craw lure, specifically in the green color. They work good though. We don't throw too many craws. If we're throwing soft plastics, it's either the fluke or the worm, because those are the two that we find most successful. But yeah, now I think I'm going to move on to my rod setup for the rods that I'm going to use this coming week when fishing out on the river, and what each one I'm going to use for. Alright, so I'm going to start out with my spinning rods, and I'll go to my bait casters. But for my first spinning rod, this is my Fluger reel, and then it's a 13 Fishing Code White spinning rod. I really like this rod. The cork handle and just the construction of the rod is great. I've had it for probably 3 or 4 years now. And this rod, I mean, it's gone through everything, and it's held up great. And it's just the perfect. It's an ultralight, so I throw it for all my bluegill. I'll throw it out for little smallmouth sometimes. See, right now I just have a trout magnet, so it's my trout rod. But I'm a left hand, so obviously I have the reel on the left hand. The reel that this rod came with, this combo, the reel was okay, but I think it was what, the $50, $40 combo, and so the reel wasn't great. This Fluger, I forget what model it is exactly, if it says on here. I think it's the Fluger Tryon or something. It says right there, I just can't see what it says. But this reel, I think, ran about $50, $60, and I've had this reel for probably a couple months now, and I really have no complaints for this reel. This reel is definitely a nice reel. Super smooth. The handle is a little loose, and there's no way to tighten it up either. I've checked the screws all the way in, but it is a good reel, and I really do like it. It's a good little setup for fishing all the little spots here in the Shenandoah County, whether it's fishing little ponds or just trying to catch some bluegill. But yeah, so on to my next rod. Alright, so for my next spinning combo, this is another actually 13 fishing code white rod. This is the 6'6" medium fast edition of the rod. I love this rod, like I said. I love the construction of it. The cork handle and everything is what I like the most. For the reel on this rod, I have the Ozark Trail OTX, and I have to say, most people think of Ozark Trail like the reels, and just the brand is a cheap Walmart brand, but this reel's performance for price, for me, has probably been one of the best out of any reels that I've ever bought. It's almost full metal construction, aside from some of the body of the reel, but the spool is all completely metal. A lot of this is all metal. Just this part here and this part here are plastic. But this reel is so smooth. It's got the cork handle here, which I love. I love the cork handles for all of them. But this reel has just been the best. It's probably been one of my favorite reels. It is so smooth. The price of it, I think, was only like $40, $50 for the reel. But it is such a good reel. I really like it. I have the 3000 series. I think they make a 5000 series too. But I think this is 12-pound braid on it right now. I have 12-pound braid. This is what I throw my finesse worms on, jigs. But this reel, I 100% recommend it. It's a good reel. For out on the river, I love just being able to pick this thing up and flip under trees or whatever, wherever I'm trying to get to. It's great for cover. But I really do enjoy this little setup here. It's my main spinning combo when it comes to all my spinning rods. But next I'll move on to my bait casters. I have 2 bait casters that I'll be taking with me this coming week, and so let's get into those. This is one of my bait casting setups. It's a what is it? It is a 6'8" medium action Ozark Trail OTX rod, bait casting rod. Like I said, a lot of people think of Ozark Trail as a cheap, Walmart brand, but I have to say, cork handles. I've had this rod for over a year now, and this rod has surprised me so much. It is such a good built rod, build quality at least. I've had no issues with it. The sensitivity on it isn't the best. There's obviously better, but this is also, again, only like a $50 rod. And it's probably one of my favorites. I really do like this rod. It's really great. I do think, it may have only been $45, but it is one of my favorite rods. Super comfortable to hold. The grip on it is great. And yeah, the reel I have on this thing is a Shimano Chaos. I've only had this reel for probably 4 weeks now. I bought it off my friend Brady. But so far I've had no complaints with it. He's had this rod for a couple years. But this reel. I really do like the reel. It's a 7-to-1 gear ratio, so it gets the job done, that's for sure. It lives up to Shimano's quality. It's a good quality reel. As far as I know, as far as I've been using it the past couple weeks, it's been great. I haven't really had too many issues with it at all. I haven't had any issues with it. It's a good quality reel. Handles are rubber, but they're better than some of the other reels that I've used in the past. But I do like this reel. I definitely recommend it. I don't know how much this thing goes for brand new. I'd have to check, but yeah, I think I have 17-pound fluorocarbon. I mostly throw fluorocarbon just because it doesn't tangle as much as mono does. But yeah, this is a good little setup. I use this setup for throwing a lot of my hard baits. Right now I just have finesse worm on it because I was fishing a pond and it just felt like tossing something on this rod. But this is my main rod that I use for throwing out my top water lures. But yeah, on to my next bait caster. Alright, this is my 13 Fishing Fate Black 7'1", medium power combo. That's the rod at least. Great rod. I've loved this rod. I've had it a couple years now, probably a year and a half, almost 2 years. And I've really liked this rod. It's a little bit lighter on the medium side. Sensitivity is great on it. When you're fishing, you can feel almost everything. The reel I have is the Lew's Speed Spool Pro Classic. I love this reel. This reel is so smooth. I had oiled it, I think, once ever, but straight out of the box, this thing was perfect. I really do love this reel. It casts great. I forget what the gear ratio. I think the gear ratio is 7.51 again, just like on my other bait caster. But I really do enjoy this combo. It matches beautifully together. This is the rod that I'll throw a lot of my kind of lighter lures, lighter topwater lures, or lighter hard baits on. My Ozark Trail combo that was right before this. It is a little. It's also medium, but it's a little bit heavier. There's more. It has more strength to it. This rod's a bit more sensitive and bendy, at least, even though it's also medium. Right now, I just have a spinnerbait on it because we were at Lake Anna, and this is what I was just tossing out there. Actually, didn't end up catching anything, but yeah. I also have 17-pound fluoro, same as my other rod, and that's about it. This is the rod that I use the most. Really, it's probably my favorite bait casting combo. But yeah, next I'll go on to the lines that I'm going to be throwing this weekend, the different kind of lines that I'll be throwing for being out on the river. Alright guys, here are my three main lines that I throw. This is a leader. This is what I'll throw on my spinning rod that has a braid on it if I need some leader or something. This is 15-pound, 25 yards. It's fluorocarbon. Like I said, I love fluorocarbon. It doesn't bunch up as much. But I don't even use leader too often. A lot of times out on the river, I don't like using leader. It's just one other thing to have to sit there and tie on and stuff. And I've never had trouble without using it. I've never really seen too much of a difference when using or not using leader. But yeah, if I ever do need to tie it on, like if the water's really, really clear, and I feel like, all right, yeah, maybe I should, this is just what I use. It's just what I have. For my ultralight 6-pound fluorocarbon, easy casting, this Berkley, good line. I'm so sorry. I've been confused this entire time, but I use mono on all my bait casters, not fluoro, because mono does not tangle up as much. Fluorocarbon does. I do like fluorocarbon. I find it to be a little bit more clear. I use it for all my trout rods. That's why it just works for me, at least. 6-pound test is what I throw on my trout rods, my ultralight and stuff. It's just what I use. It's just what I've been using for the past couple years, and I really haven't had too many issues with it. Then this is the line that I throw on every other rod that isn't a trout rod. 17-pound trilene extra smooth casting, high manageable monofilament by Berkley. I do like Berkley's lines. It's what I throw. I mostly throw all Berkley line and always have. But this line has been great. Doesn't tangle almost at all. It stays relatively straight the entire time. 17-pound test is what I throw on all my bait casters. It's plenty heavy enough for me. I don't plan on catching very many fish, over 10 pounds at least. But yeah, this is the green color. I actually didn't know it was green when I bought it until I opened it and put it on my rod. But I've thrown it, and I've been throwing it in the river, and it's worked fine. It's been probably my favorite. I love monofilament because it doesn't tangle as much as fluoro. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. That's what I'm going to be using for the river this week. Hopefully me and Jackson will have a video for you guys this coming week or next week. We're going to be gone from the 3rd to the 8th, fishing the river the entire week, that entire time. I think it's 5 days. So hopefully we'll have a bunch of content for you guys. We'll have the 2-person kayak out there and the John boat. So it'll definitely be a fun time. So please like and subscribe. We'll see you guys next one. Hopefully I'll have Jax with me. Yeah, see ya.